the key was to develop appropriate networks and understanding that in most of those networks, it's about giving and taking. Taking and giving. You have to be in a position where you're ready to listen, you're ready to share, but you're also willing to give. And so that's been really critical. I have some that are what I call safe networks that are just for supporting me. My girlfriends that get together. I have one friend that once a week we have a 1-hour phone call with each other, and we call it an accountability call. And she tells me what her goals for the week are. I tell her what my goals for the week are. And of course, in the following week, then we're checking in. How did that go? I know you're writing your book and you're having a hard time getting that first chapter done. Where are you stuck? How can I help you? Did you not create the time in your calendar? What's going on? And so we do that for each other, and we're both at a level of success that we don't need anything from each other, so we don't feel threatened that way. But it's an appropriate and very empowering relationship, and it's just informal. No association or organization set it up for us. We just both decided we need this, let's work on this with each other. Then I have other networks that, people that challenge and stretch me, and sometimes just by virtue of what they're doing. So I have a group of entrepreneurs that I meet with once a year, and I'll be in Boston at MIT in 2 weeks with them. And it's 70 entrepreneurs from around the world that are kicking it, just really doing great things. The majority of them are men. They are hard-charging, they're ambitious, they're competitive, they do triathlons and dare me to do them, and every now and then I do. And that's a totally different kind of network. I know that's probably not the place where I can say, oh, I can't make this happen, because they would squash me. But I know that if I ever needed anything, I can call friends all over the world because we have that common network together. And if I need an introduction to somebody, or if I have something that's really important for me to accomplish and I don't know anybody else, they usually know somebody who knows somebody, and they're perfectly willing to give that. So I can't say enough about creating your networks. Generally, it takes more than one. The other thing is that in networking, as far as creating the relationships, I have certainly found that when you're trying to sell something, create something in your business, or sell a product or a service, people really like to buy and spend their money with people that they like. They would prefer to give money to someone that they like than someone they don't like. So that's the other side of networking, is really, even in sales and trying to sell things in your business, the best opportunities are to go out and be nice to people. Go out, be nice, make friends, and you know what? You actually get into the conversation, oh, what do you do? What do you do? Oh, you're a nice person. You know what? I actually have a need for that. Could I buy it from you? Okay. And that actually, so from the support networks to even networking to sell and grow your business, it's really about being authentic and understanding appropriateness in the relationships, where it's appropriate to have a certain conversation and ask for something, and where it's appropriate not to. So I would love to take any questions.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
So what was the biggest building your company built?
Well, we work in a couple different ways on building. So the largest building that we've managed the construction of has been $90 million. Now, that $90 million building, we were what's called an owner's representative. That means that I would sit here, if Lila was the owner of the building, and she said, you know, I really need to get something built. And I would say, well, we have experience in doing that, and I'm going to be your agent. And we're going to go and hire the architect and the general contractor, and I'm your eyes and ears at the table. I'm going to make sure that no one takes advantage of you, because I'm independent of them, and I'm going to watch your pocketbook. I'm going to watch your money. And I've been the general contractor before, so there's nothing they can do to fool me. I know everything that they could do, And so I'm going to make sure to be the agent at the table to make sure it gets built on time and within budget and your objectives are met. Because you don't know construction, you just have the money, you need this building. So that's a lot of what we do. And we do some general contracting where we're actually the one building it. And those projects are up to like $12 million. But it's a bigger risk because when I'm the general contractor, I could lose everything. My whole house is on the line and everything. I much prefer to be on the consulting side because the profit margins are much better also. The risk is lower, the margins are higher, and that's where I want to be.
And when you mentioned a certain amount of money, can you translate it to me like levels or floors? Because I don't know your currency. Like, what does it mean that you had this big contract? Like, how big is that physically?
That building was a university building, primarily classrooms and a parking garage. And I can't think how many square feet it was, but about 8 stories high.
Oh.
So I think 4 stories underground parking garage and 8 stories high.
Oh, wow.
And it's for George Mason University. And that's the largest project. The majority of the projects that we've managed as a consultant are more like 20 to 50 million. That might include a classroom building or a church or an office building. And generally that type of budget is for new construction, from nothing to a big building. When we do like a renovation of a building, that generally tends to be anywhere from very small, being maybe $100,000 to maybe $2 million or $3 million. We also have done some projects that involve power. So we build a substation to generate electricity that is going to support somebody else's new building that they're building. Then we put the power into it.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
How many employees does have your company?
We have 12 direct employees that work for our company. We generally have about 5 to 10 consultants that we bring on an as-needed basis. So we're not having to carry them on payroll when we don't have work for them. And the majority of our work when we're a general contractor is subcontracted to the specialty trades. So for example, we had a project where we put a $1.5 million copper roof, new roof on a commercial building. And about 85% of the dollars from that contract we had to pay to the roofing subcontractor who was doing the majority of the work. So we were managing the project, and the value of our piece of that was about 15% of the contract. So it generally takes one employee even to manage that project.
I was interested when you talk about priorities, and because I think that it's easy to decide which priorities you want to have, but the most difficult thing is to keep them for everyday life. You know, how do you do that? Did you, take lessons, or how do you do that?
You know, I think that's a really good question, because one of the things I have invested in significantly with time and money is additional education and professional development. So I love to learn. I love to learn, and whether it's through reading or attending a class or a workshop, and I like to be challenged. I think that's how you grow, is someone pushing you just a little bit and saying, really, is that the best you can do? And so I did participate 2 years ago in a year-long leadership development course, and it involved we had 4 throughout the year. We had 4 face-to-face meetings. This was in Texas, all the way down the bottom there. And so four times a year, the group, there were maybe 12 of us, would come together and meet, and we had a facilitator. And the facilitator really helped to guide and teach us a lot about things like walking the talk and congruency. You're saying this is important, but what are you doing? So I will tell you that this isn't a lot of what I know, I didn't make up. I have put myself in a position to either with individuals to be mentors and role models, or I've actively sought out how can I become a better leader, because I do not like to reinvent the wheel. I don't want to make it up. That's where you have a headwind. You have a bicycle or you watch the peloton. It's like the one in the front gets all the headwinds. You know what? Squeeze me back there in the pack and let me learn from some of these other people. So I have invested and found ways to get involved in leadership development. The other thing I find is the best ways to learn is to share and to teach. So it's one thing to attend a workshop or work with a coach, an executive coach, and have them teach me. But the best way for me to own it and it take root is for me to share that. And because then I have to talk about it, and then I'm reminded, am I doing it? And so it's good. It's a reminder for me too. So I really like the opportunity to share with my employees, to lead by example, and to talk about how we can all be better leaders, because everybody has that opportunity. If it's not in their business or their church or their community association or their classroom or just even in the family.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Actually, I have a question. Oh, do we have one here?
So, how did you get the money for your very first business? I mean, it was your parents who supported, or you worked for it?
I'm trying to remember now, because thinking back historically, every single business that I started was was bootstrapped. It was basically if I can find a way to get the first job, then I can take some of that money and put it back into building a business. So every single one has been self-funded, and I didn't start out with money. I can remember when I started my roofing company, I did go buy a truck, and I was able to get a loan from the car salespeople. So I took a loan for that. And then I know I was able to negotiate with my suppliers, so and get credit for like the roofing materials. And generally it was like hand to mouth. And so I took quite a risk on those companies. But I also started small. I think if I had tried to start too big, I would not have been able to support it financially. And with this business, I really started with nothing. But I also didn't have a lot of equipment needs, and I had an employee who was willing to work for free for a little while, my husband. And I'll tell you a funny story about financing, and I was